Hello, everybody. Pardon me. Welcome back to the channel, Charles Morris. Mm, this is a very tough time for the Petito family, and it's a pretty big difficult time for the Laundrie family. If you're if you know about this Gabby Petito case that started when Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie went on a cross-country trip, and what happened was he, at the end, there was somebody that called 911 up, and there's a guy that reported that he saw somebody slapping a girl. And what the police did, they showed up where Gabby Petito's van was, and they started questioning Gabby. And Gabby was really freaked out what was going to happen to her. On the others, on the for Brian Laundrie, he acted like he was just cool, calm, and his body language was expressing that he was pretty scared what was going on, but he also stayed cool to what was happening. His behavior only helped him, but not police. According to according to what I heard from Dr. Phil, I believe this was an attorney, and he said that his behavior is not helping police, but it's helping him to avoid being taken into custody or, having charges pressed against him for, um, physical assault. I would imagine slapping a girl in the face would be considered um, physical assault, but I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say for sure. But, here's the thing. The police told Gabby Petito that they were not going to charge her with anything, but they said that they were going to separate the two. Well, from what I heard, Brian Laundrie got in the van, left, without Gabby Petito, and the last thing that I heard about Gabby Petito was her body was found in Grand Teton National Park, and she was said to be dead, according to police reports. And this is really, really tough on the Petito family and Brian Laundrie's family. mean, Brian Laundrie didn't really even care, but the Petito family held a funeral, and they they spoke at an interview to it was like a memorial gathering for Gabby Petito, who has died. That's where the search for Brian Laundrie started to get even more, even, I like to find the right word for, they wanted to, the manhunt or the investigation into this, into finding Brian Laundrie got even more and more intense. And they were like, they they want Gabby they want Gabby Petito to have justice for the homicide. Could Brian Laundrie been behind it? Possibly, yeah. Either he killed Gabby Petito or somebody else did. We don't know. I've been looking up for information on how Gabby Petito actually died, and her body was found in Grand Teton National Park. I only heard that it was a homicide. I don't really have. There's no cause of death that I have seen out of this at all, so I can't say what her homicide was from. But if it is Brian Laundrie, then I would assume that he'd be charged for murder. The other thing that Brian Laundrie would be charged with is theft, because he used a credit card that was not his to purchase stuff. And let me give you a quick update on what a credit/debit card actually does. There's a number on the front of every credit and debit card, and there's a PIN code on the back of it and stuff. Well, that number goes to a certain account, like a certain bank account. If when that number matches a certain bank account and that stuff, that means nobody else touch it. And if a credit card is reported missing and that stuff, then you need to call your bank up and you need to lock it so nobody else can use it. And what did you do? I'm pretty sure after Brian Laundrie left his fiance may have took her credit card asked for everything from Gabby Petito because he wanted to be, I would assume, controlling. And I think Gabby Petito was just trying to be loyal to Brian Laundrie and gave him everything she owned. And she didn't want to, deal with stress, I would imagine. I mean, if I were in abusive relationships with, whoever, then I'd probably be wanting to do everything that he or she said because I wanted to be, loyal. But you should also look at this. If you're doing something to just please your fiance or girlfriend or wife, husband, whatever it is, and you want them to be in charge of everything that you do and that stuff. That's just a sad position to actually be in. Because literally, you're giving everything away just to keep your marriage and that stuff, which isn't really a good thing to do, or keep your engagement in order, or it's never good to give away stuff just to keep your um, romantic romantic relationship in order. Because number one, you may not realize that the person's trying to control and use you to get the stuff that he or she may want, and then after a while, they out of nowhere end up dumping you or breaking up with you when you don't expect it, and then take off and leave you behind. And Brian Laundrie was pretty jealous of Gabby Petito, being that she was getting all this internet fame off of TikTok and, of all this other stuff. But the thing you gotta know is you don't want to rush your dating life because you don't even know who the person's gonna be on the inside. Because the importance is when you date somebody back in high school and that stuff, you want to get a good idea of who they are on the inside before you start taking it the next step, which is engagement. And most importantly, your parents also want to find out if this guy or this woman can actually be trusted to love you, protect you, and respect you. And if they can't do that, then it's best that you get out of those kind of situations. Because that's not somewhere you want to be. If they turn out to be some kind of abusive, narcissistic person, then you at least need to get out of that. If they want to be controlling, then that is something that you want to be careful of. Now, back to the Brian Laundrie search. There are protesters that stay outside of his home and they are using megaphones and they're demanding that Brian Laundrie turn himself in, or at least, you know, my point is they're mad about what Brian Laundrie did to Gabby Petito. And I would be too. I would be too. And then on the other side, you've got people who are just plain, disrespectful. And, they would think this whole thing is like something to laugh at, which it's not. It's not. Imagine you being Gabby or Petito's shoes, and what if that were you? I mean, harsh words, but I mean, I gotta say. I mean, when somebody dies from a homicide, it's no laughing matter. Or if the person gets themselves into like abusive relationships with their high school sweetheart, and you're on the step of being engaged, it's it's not a laughing matter here. The Petito family demand justice for their daughter. The Brian Laundrie family may have to give the FBI info on what they know about Brian Laundrie. And just just to point out the fact, Brian Laundrie is the wanted man by the FBI. So this this investigation for Brian Laundrie is really starting to get heated up. If I knew that if Brian Laundrie was a murderer and did murder Gabby Petito in this homicide that the police reports claim of how Gabby Petito died, which was a homicide, and if Brian Laundrie was a murderer to his own fiance and that stuff, I would want to know about it. Or the police would want to know about it. Because this is useful information to actually charge Brian Laundrie with murder. I'm sure he's going to be charged for bank fraud because he stole a credit card that was not his. And I'm sure he would be charged with theft. Maybe another charge would be clear up the bank fraud charge with the credit card that is not even his. And for everybody out there that is not taking this so seriously and making, jokes about the whole thing, or, giving misinformation and making it look like a big dramatic scene or circus, whatever it is, and that stuff. Those are the kinds of people that just need to shut their mouth. Because this whole thing is serious. There are two people here in this world, and those are the people who take crimes like these or cases like these very seriously, and those are people who are just gonna, sit there and just laugh at this whole thing. So the people who want to just laugh and, take this as like a big joke and that stuff, well, I feel sorry for you. You obviously aren't being, very helpful here and that stuff. When there's a death involved and that stuff, it's no laughing matter. But I would like to know if Brian Laundrie is a murderer. I looked for information on what Brian Laundrie did to Gabby Petito. All I heard was homicide, but I didn't know if he actually murdered Gabby Petito and left her body there at Grand Teton National Park. The body was found over there, but I don't know if Brian Laundrie was the one who actually killed her. This video that I'm making is to remind those that this is actually this is something that I wanted to get out there and make a video on, because this whole thing is depressing. And like I said, it's very, very serious. It's not something to be laughed at. And the one who is desperate, or I should say, on the hunt for Brian Laundrie, is Dog the Bounty Hunter. And he is up to date on trying to find Brian Laundrie. He's searching for Brian Laundrie everywhere. And I want to say, after the death of Gabby Petito, everybody was mad, and Brian Laundrie is the suspect of this whole thing. And they want to make sure that this guy gets thrown in jail. Because he committed the homicide to Gabby Petito, then he'll need to be brought to justice for that and for the bank fraud. Like I said, he had a debit card that was not even his. And the police and the FBI are not going to rest until Brian Laundrie is found and taken into custody for this. So, what I really want to say in the end of this video is when you date somebody, you want to give your dating life time because you're not going to know who the person is forever. Or, I mean, not forever, but you're not going to know who the person is until like 5 or maybe 10 years later. Like, you want to get the details on who they are on the inside. And you don't want to rush it. Because getting into those kind of traps, like in abusive relationships, isn't going to be good for you in the long run. So, my advice to you is since Gabby Petito died of a homicide, and if Brian Laundrie is to be held accountable for that, and Brian Laundrie turned on Gabby Petito and wanted to be the one to control the whole romantic relationship, my advice to you is if you think your high school sweetheart is really, really sweet and nice, don't be fooled by how handsome or, nice a person look. You want to get to know them on the inside much better and give that for like 5 to 10 years. That's just my guess. Or maybe not 5, maybe 3. And get to know them better on the inside. And make sure your parents will be okay with who you're dating. Because that's the important thing. They want to make sure that they don't do anything to hurt you, or if they can be trusted to not do anything to you. And if they can, then they need to be around you more. They need to be around your family even more, so that they can actually be trusted, and your parents could say, okay, you guys can get together and that stuff. That's fine. Doesn't look like he or she does anything to harm you and that stuff. She's perfectly safe. She or he is perfectly safe. If they give that okay, then you're allowed to go and set up arrangements and that stuff. And ask them to marry you. Once you find out if they're a real good person on the inside, then you can take it to the next step after maybe a year or so, and then arrange a wedding. And then once you are married to somebody that you know is not going to hurt you and abuse you or do anything to hurt you in any way and that stuff, then that is completely, they're completely harmless. They're fine. And then once you marry somebody that you know is going to protect you no matter what, and that stuff, you're better off with that than marrying a narcissist or getting yourself into an abusive relationship trap. Because if you don't want to end up like Gabby Petito, and if Brian Laundrie was like a possible narcissist and set up the trap for Gabby Petito, then you can use this as an example of don't get yourself into these kind of relationships, because you don't know what they could do to you. You don't know if they could come back and stab you in the back and actually kill you and do something to ruin your whole life completely. So, a reminder, don't get yourself into romantic relationship traps that involve being with a controlling person or a narcissist. And when you date somebody, make sure you give this like 3 to 5 years. I know I said 5 to 10, but 3 to 5 years. And if you find out that they're completely safe to be around and marry, or get engaged and then marry, then they're gonna be completely safe for you once you find that out. But it's your choice. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video, and I will keep you updated or make another video if I find out more about what's going on with this case. And I will leave you with, this is Charles Moore. Have a good day. I will see you all in the next video.